Welcome to the Kingdom Doers Podcast. Today I have Elijah Higuera with GFI, Global Financial Impact. So thank you, Elijah, for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It's a blessing.
Yeah. Tell me, what is GFI? What do you do, and who specifically do you help?
What it is I do, I essentially work as a financial broker. I'm just helping change people's life financially.
So, okay, I'm really curious what your story is, because you told me, and I don't know your testimony, so I want to know, like, how did you get to where you are? You were like, I'll tell you another time, but I know you have a pretty powerful story. I'd love to hear how you got to this place today.
Yeah, it's, God works in crazy and mysterious ways, as you know, as a believer, and I wouldn't be here where I am today without God, my father. And so it started off me just being an athlete. I don't come from a wealthy family at all, but I always tell people a wealthy family will come from me. And so I grew up being an athlete. I thought professional baseball player was what was going to, take my family out of the lower income household and Section 8 housing that I came from a small hometown called San Pedro in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a dream. That's the vision that God instilled in me, and there's a reason He gave that to me. I felt like there was something inside of me that was different than most of my family. I was like the chosen one, you can say. And so every day was just focused on becoming the best baseball player, best individual I could be as a man, to really attain that goal, and ended up going to Pepperdine University. I went over there to study business, play baseball, was living the dream, and not even a year in, tore both my rotator cuffs.
Oh no! Oh
yeah. So it was really it was really an identity shift, and because I felt like it stripped my identity. I grew up, strong in my faith, but I kind of stepped away, wasn't as close as I should have been in college, and I was living out the dream. It was beautiful out there in Malibu, California. If anybody knows the Zoe 101, that's the campus it was filmed at. And so it was like one of the lowest points of my life. I didn't know what to do, and it caused me to lean on God a lot more. And through that, He took me out of college, climbed my way up in the gym industry, worked in the corporate level, was running any commercial gym you can think of. I was a manager for one of them, at least, and then became a regional manager and district manager for Crunch Fitness and Gold's Gym. And so I was, but I felt like I had a bigger calling. And so God called me to San Diego, opened up this door in business. It was really like an answered prayer. I got connected with my mentor, other God-fearing individuals, strong, people like yourself as well in business and entrepreneurship. And so didn't think I would, be like an entrepreneur. That's not really what I had planned, but God had other plans. And as I stepped out in faith and moved over here to San Diego, no plans or anything, just God has been blessing and working, beyond measure, beyond belief.
That's really cool. So you just felt this calling, and you're like, okay, I'll do it. Like you just felt like He was guiding you in the direction, and then you just followed in faith.
To sum it up, yes, I've always felt drawn to the San Diego area, and there was opportunities that had coming up prior to me actually making the jump, but I just didn't feel like the timing was right. And as I was working in the gym industry at the beginning of last year, and God took me out of that, I didn't have any income coming in for 3 to 4 months, and it's a very uncertain place, especially living in Los Angeles.
Totally.
And so it was a season of consecration, I like to call it, is where I was just really building that spiritual maturity and getting a stronger faith and understanding of who God really is. And after 3 to 4 months is where I knew automatically, I got connected with my mentor, and he was out here living in San Diego. And God always will start with a vision of the impossible. He won't, give you the step-by-step on what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, but that's where faith comes in. Yeah. And so as soon as he called me over here, what really sold me was the church as well. And I came a week before I moved out here, made the jump, went to a service, and I was like, okay, God, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know you have the wheel. That's
really cool. I love that story. And it also, reminds us when faith is the most powerful is when there's that uncertainty, because we can't really, we can always have faith if we know what our next step is. We have faith that, we wake up in the morning, hopefully, knock on wood, right? We have faith in certain things that are just always there on a normal basis. But it's those times when it's it feels like you're going to jump off a cliff. It's those times when you're like, I don't see what's right in front of me. And that's when it's like, whoa, the hardest. And to like move from, a totally different area. I'm from LA too. And like moving just even 2 hours away was like a huge difference because your whole community, your church, your friends, like everybody's not here with you. So it's a massive step to take. And that's the one thing that I see in most entrepreneurs that I interview. Faith, it's like they hear calling and they go for it. And that's been the most like consistent answer that I've heard from every person I've interviewed. So it's pretty cool to like see, wow, this is, there's something to it. So I think that people who are like, what do I do next? It's inspiring to see people like you who are like just doing it, stepping out and doing it. So I love that.
100%. And then you said like all these entrepreneurs that you speak with, they just say go for it.
Yeah.
GFI also stands for go for it.
And I like
so that's the saying that we always have. It's like go for it. It's a faith-based company. Like knowing that when you go for it, when you take a step and leap out in faith, really trusting, that your creator and where he's going to lead you, it's going to be a beautiful place. And that's what I tell a lot of people who I speak with on a daily basis is like, you surrender, you give your plans over to God, and just trust that, like knowing that the place where He's going to lead you is going to be far greater than you can imagine. And so like faith is everything to me, because I wouldn't be in the position I'm in with business and finances and having the relationships I have if God didn't really work in me to bring me here and steward with the blessings that I have now.
That's amazing. And it reminds me of the story of Abraham, and like God is like, you have this promised land, and he had to get up and leave everything, like everything he knew. He had to leave his family, his home, everything, right? And then he goes and he's on his way out, and then Lot's wife looks back, and he's like, come on, let's go. And she looks back, turns into a pillar of salt. And, this morning I was reading Isaiah 44, and it's like, don't dwell on the past, right? Stop dwelling on the past. Look ahead. Can't you see I'm making a new thing? And ways in the wilderness where there is no way, right? And streams in the desert. And it's like, that's when we hold on to that hope and it happens for us, and we look back and we're like, oh my gosh, I would have never have foreseen where this journey was taking me unless, you just stepped out in faith. You could not have actually seen where it's going, right?
And as Adam said, I was reading Isaiah 43 and 44 this morning.
You were? Well. Oh, that's funny.
And Isaiah 43:10, it talks about trusting in the Lord. You'll renew your mind and soar on high like eagles. And that's just gives encouragement to those who are at a low place, because you have a strong belief and strong trust in your creator. Know that like he's promising you're going to soar on high like eagles. And if he takes care of of eagles, of birds, of his creation, how much more do you think he's going to take care of his children? Right? And so that's big for me as well. It's that's like cool. And then even in this area of my life, the stage I'm at in entrepreneurship and in business, doing a new thing. That's something that God has been revealing to me throughout like this past week. It's like, know that yes, I've blessed you beyond measure. Yes, I've taken you from who you used to be, which is like crazy to see the growth. If somebody knew me when I was like 15, 16, 17, 18 and seeing me now, like they believe in God as well. And so like he's kind of just giving me glimpses of how far he's brought me, but also knowing that what he's about to do doesn't compare to what he's already done. And so like that gives me joy, gives me excitement heading into the new day, into the new year, because I know that like 2024 was the greatest year of my life, but 2025 it's going to be even greater. Yeah,
that's really cool. It's like you're building now to do the next thing, right? So that's really cool. So when you talk about your family and growing up and how you're kind of like the one who kind of a trailblazer, and it sounds like in a way, how do you get, because I can relate to that in a lot of ways, I'm the only person in my family who stepped out in entrepreneurship too, and sometimes my family is like, don't you want something more stable? It's like there's just this I don't know how to describe it. There's a lack of understanding, and it's of no fault of theirs. It's just a different path, right? So stepping out into going in this new direction, sometimes it's difficult to navigate, these waters without having the background or somebody raising you into this kind of path. How do you navigate through that with kind of learning it on your own, in a sense? Do you feel that?
Yeah, 100%. I felt for so long like I was heading blindly in the dark in the wilderness. Like there was no path I can go. Like nobody set out an example for me. But that's also when I wasn't as close to God as I am today. And so know that there's a reason, if you feel like that, there's a reason God instilled the vision into you and not into your parents. So there's always going to be a lack of understanding, and they can't fully comprehend it. And like you said, no fault to their own, but like God gave that to you. He entrusted you with this responsibility for a reason. And it's up to you to really pray to be the person who can really handle that blessing on the other side of it. Right? So as I stepped out into faith over here and really just obeyed God, He revealed day-to-day steps I needed to take. And that also comes with having a strong prayer life, and having the gifts that God has given me spiritually. And so I have a very intimate relationship with God, but also the helper that He sent me, the Holy Spirit. And so every day I'm led by the Spirit. Man can make our choices, our decisions, our plans, but Jesus will direct our steps. That's what His word says. And so that's where I find myself. I don't know the specific day-to-day steps I'm going to be taking, because in entrepreneurship it's a lot of chaos. And so I need to rely on my faith. I need God to lead me to where I'm trying to go, because I know I have a massive calling over my life. I feel like I've attained a good amount of success, and but where God is taking me, it's far greater than what my family can picture. What I feel like I have a clear vision. I know exactly the ministry I'm going to be leading, the people I'm going to be leading, and that's really what it's about. It's growing God's kingdom, and really helping change people's lives financially. That's what I'm doing in business as well. Yeah,
that's amazing. I love the parable of the talents. I'm sure you know this one really well. And with Jesus talking about the three people who got a talent, and one of them buried it in the ground, the other one took one and doubled it, right, multiplied it, and the other one did more with it. And so he gave more to those who stewarded their gifts more and their talents more, rather than just burying it in the ground. Exactly. How do you relate that to what you do in terms of your financial guidance and planning?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love this story. It's it's really about it shows how good the Father is. God always answers prayers. And so if you ask for something, He's going to reveal, He's going to answer it. And but it's how are you going to handle the answered prayer? How are you going to handle the blessing? Let's say, for example, you're praying for breakthrough, you're praying for financial breakthrough, and God blesses you with $10,000 right now. What are you going to do with it? Can He entrust you with it, or are you going to hide it? Are you going to let it sit in the bank and not do anything? What is it you're going to do? And so that's where I encourage people to really pray to allow God to sculpt you into someone who understands and has the wisdom, because in the Bible it says wisdom is far more precious than rubies. Wisdom and another thing I want people to understand is gold has the highest value on earth, right? So it's the highest value. In heaven, the streets are paved with gold. It's pavement. So where we end as humans, that's where God begins. And so why would you not entrust Him with your finances, with everything? And then heading into entrepreneurship, into business, into this space, it's really allowed me to really live out and be able to steward what I've been praying for, because God had taken me through so much adversity, so many battles, and as you know, as an entrepreneur, that's a prerequisite, coming into it if you want to be successful in the space. But that also formed and molded me to be able to steward the blessing on the other side of it.
That's really cool. I love that. So how do you help people specifically grow their investments, or invest in the right things and guide them through that, and then grow it for generational wealth?
Yeah, 100%. Generational wealth isn't a hard thing to pass down, but only 2% of Americans will pass down generational wealth, 1% actually keeping that. And there's not a shortage of money out in the world, there's just a shortage of wisdom on how to acquire it. And so what I do is I provide financial education on all aspects and all areas. 67% of Americans have never made a financial plan, but yet they want to retire. They have these big financial goals. They pray for blessings, but you're also not putting in the work to do that. And so I sit down with families and help really create a financial plan on how to bridge the gap of where they currently are to get them to their financial situation. So I'm essentially a doctor as well.
Nice.
But so I help break down their finances, and it's not necessarily about investments. It's really about how can you steward your money in a better fashion. And that's all I'm there. I'm helping to help them steward what they currently have and how they can get their money to grow for them without really investing a lot.
Nice. So you don't have to have a lot to start with.
No.
And so what would somebody who's completely brand new, never had any upbringing teaching them anything about finances, what would be the first step to tell somebody, what's the first step to do if you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of education, financial education?
Well, I'd say get an understanding of what money is. Like how does somebody acquire money? What is it? How does it grow? What does it do? Like all of that, because if you really want to grow your money, like you need to understand what it is that you have growing. And that's where like I come in. I'm able to help families. Like I have a friend at Edward Jones who and he says that he won't sit down with families unless they're making $1 million a year, which is crazy because my family, like, what about families like mine who don't have a lot of money, like you mentioned? And so that's where I'm able to come in as well. And like it's like God has blessed me to put me in the position I'm in, is because I get to sit down with families like mine and just provide them financial education. I don't charge anything. I help families for free, and so that's even a bigger blessing, right? Because I wish I had that. Like my family, maybe for years as well, it's like they didn't talk about money. They didn't talk about finances. It was very hidden. Just because I don't know if that's really like a kind of, I don't want to say embarrassment, or they just weren't financially stable and they didn't want us to know that. And so like that's where I'm able to come in and just provide financial education like I wish I had when I was younger.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like what you said, know what money is. Because a lot of us are so avoidant with money. And I love talking about it because it's like you said, we don't often, maybe it's also cultural too, in the Latin culture, like our family just wasn't what we talked about, right? It's like that's a private matter. But, I love talking about it because like you said, now it's empowering to talk about it. Why avoid it? When so many of us have like the mindset of avoidance with money and abuse, it's money, we've allowed money to abuse us, and we've abused money. And when we think about like what it is actually, it's just really a bartering system, right? I mean, the paper replaced the barter. And so when you think of it as it could be empowering rather than disempowering, that's a huge mindset shift for people. I'm sure you probably have to work with people a lot with changing their mindset around money, right?
Exactly. And that's like one of the main things that holds people back from really getting to where they want to go in life. It's like they've been so accustomed to following conventional wisdom in regards to money and finances. And they have this stubborn relationship with money, that money is always winning in the relationship with them. It's winning a daily battle with them. And it's really just a complete mindset shift in regards to the relationship that they have with their finances and with money. And so that's a big thing. It's a mental blockage that a lot of people have that's hindering their growth. And that's like the number one thing I would say is like if you genuinely want breakthrough with your finances, create a better relationship, a healthier relationship with money.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, like any relationship, it's like, family, partners, if you ignore it, you don't, put any attention to it, it's going to be neglected, right? And like I heard Dave Ramsey say once, if you don't know where your money's going, you'll always wonder where it went. It's true. It's like that with money, with time, like, like what happened? If you're not tracking it, it's, not going to help you. If you're avoiding it, it's not going to help you. So I love that you have taken your background, your challenges and the things that you struggle with now to use that to help other people and empower them to take more control of their finances.
That's kind of crazy. Like if you would have told me you're going to be helping people with their finances, if you would have told me that 10 years ago, I'd be like, you're insane. Like I don't even know what money is. I've never heard of like a Roth IRA or something like that. And but that's also how God works. Like God will you're most equipped to help who you used to be. That's really what it is. It's like I used to not have money. I used to not, like my parents always worried about paycheck to paycheck. That's how they were living. And but yet I was the chosen one to help in financial breakthrough and financial assistance and education. And so that's really just all glory to God. So
that's really cool. Amen. That's awesome, Elijah. So how do people find you if they want to work with you? You do a consultation, complimentary consultation and everything?
Exactly. Yeah, I do honestly everything I do for my clients is free. Everything I do, I don't charge them a single penny. And it's complimentary sessions, however many sessions we need to really create a financial budgeting, a financial system to help you get closer to your financial goals. Then that's what I'll do. I'll do as many as we need, and that's what I'm there to assist for. And then I always provide links and books for them to read just so they can self-educate on finances as well, all for free. And so I'll send you over my link that we can put it in the description or whatever. I'll have my number, my email, everything there. Cool. And so that's how they can reach me.
Okay, awesome. And I do have another question I forgot to ask. Is it ever too late to start investing? Say you're already retired. I know, there's people in my family who already retired and they're like, is it too late for me to still, invest?
No. The short answer, no. I actually have a client who She's well over the retirement age.
Okay.
But she found herself going back to work.
Okay.
And that's something that I don't like seeing. Is like you're investing your whole life into a retirement plan through the government that should be like, you should be good for retirement, but yet they find themselves as elderly individuals going back to work. And so that's another thing I want to change. And so she came to me. I was able to help get her back on track, and not necessarily by investing, extra money, but really just equipping her and providing her knowledge on new avenues that she can put the money she already has, so that she does have, tax-free retirement, or that she has income, guaranteed lifetime income that will never run out.
Nice.
And so those are ways I'm able to help people that are already retired. And I, those are honestly some of my biggest clients as well that, I make the biggest impact with and help them.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it's never too late.
That's great. So that's hopeful, because there's a lot of baby boomers that are retiring and not prepared for it yet, and like they still have all this life in them too.
Yeah.
Like, I still got another 30 years in me. What do I do now? So good to know. Oh, well, awesome. Thank you so much, Elijah, for sharing your story, your faith, and your business and everything that you do. Thank you for watching, everyone, and check out the link in the description box to connect with Elijah and get on a good financial plan for your future. Know where your money is going and take control of it. And with a faith-based financial advisor too, I think that's so important for us believers to have somebody guiding us as well spiritually. So check him out, and thank you again.